welcome. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. Just before we were talking about the antidote, you used the words antidote, being the antidote to chaos.
Mm.
What's that look like for you? Or I guess we're living in this world now that is increasingly fast. We've got constantly looking at these things. This has like become the answer to everything, supposedly. And we're getting more and more crazy, and we're getting more and more disconnected from ourselves, more and more disconnected from each other. There's not a lot of fun. And here we are, right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Learning and adapting.
Learning to do something different.
Yeah, it's the antidote and the sensation of chaos. It's, for me, I'm seeing that amplification of doing, being, there's so much going on and so much being presented to us. It's hard to maintain an equilibrium of calmness and centeredness. It's an interesting realm to I guess bring into light. And when I shared Antidote to the Chaos, it's like what I am in the world and how I exist in the world. I want to make sure that I'm not contributing to more chaos. Particularly in all the experiences and everything that's brought me to who I am and what I am today. There's an undertone to knuckle down even more. And giving reference not only to myself, but those around me, my family, my friends, people in my community.
What do you mean by giving reference?
Well, it's, when you're in a noisy, hectic environment and, there might be someone a little bit disgruntled, you instantly feel that energy. You instantly feel how that affects everyone in the group. And, your energy introduces you well before your words do. And there's a discipline that's involved with being able to take a breath, being able to pause, being able to, I guess, adjust, to situations. And being the antidote to that is not moving into the reactivity of the experience around. It's been a reference of calm. It's been able to, engage in the Michael Singer's ways of life, that being able to witness the thoughts. And
have you been listening to? Have you checked? Yeah, there you go.
Michael Singer.
It's really good, huh?
It's a really beautiful, encapsulated way of living in this world as awareness comes forward. He's a great reference for that blissful state, the antidote to chaos.
Mm.
And we're influenced by what we see and experience and what we ingest. The phones, as you talk about, we've basically got poker machines in our hands. It's the same.
Sorry, what do you call them? Oh, poker machines. Yeah.
It's a poker machine in your
poker
hand.
machine. Yeah, they literally designed it like that, I think. The Facebook, I remember being told about that at one point, how they'd hired gambling experts who were experts at learning the ratios of stress to reward ratios, and they study it and they work out what's going to be the most
stimulating.
The most seductive, I guess, and for the human brain, and then they encode their machines with that.
Yeah.
and then poor old human being comes along, unless they're exceptionally balanced and aware of watching what is happening inside them, which most people I don't think have the capacity.
Yeah.
Which
is okay.
Which is fine, but if that's the case, you're just literally you're going to get preyed on.
Yeah.
And going to get sucked into it, most likely.
Yeah.
Which, anyways, yeah, that's happening.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment right now to acknowledge that we've spent a bit of time together. You've known me in the Perth region pretty much since day dot, and I'm noticing those who notice the chaos. I find a really good bond and connection with people that kind of see it for what it is. And the more people that surround me and the more people that are in my field of being okay not being on the phone, like going and sitting in a cafe and having a chat, or sitting down, being able to engage, it's nutrients in a soil of the experience of humanity, which we're getting pulled away from, where connections are likes, and like I really want to, even the discussion about social medias and tech really just kind of rattles me. It's I'm longing to be more connected in nature, close to a stream. It's I spend a lot of time in what I do with meditation and sound, and I'm seeing a lot of people wanting a refuge for what works. What I've used over these years through all the things that I've done. That it's a reference for people to be in an antidote of the chaos. It's things to experience and things to engage that takes us away from the constant flick of the thumb.
Yeah.
And the chimes of the distraction. And yeah, so in essence, it's a big part of my enjoyment in this community, and the people that resonate with you, the people that resonate with me, is this ability to be able to put phones down,
and
have a good solid kind of check in.
Yeah, 100%. It's quite a, I don't know, I think the word, this came up with the podcast with Tom as well, but the word was relief. It's like, oh my God, it's a relief to just step outside of that for a minute. And what's been coming really clear to me is that this is like my priority, I think, in life now. My priority is to do whatever I can to remain conscious as much as I can. And I mean, that would probably take a lot of explanation to really go through what I mean by that. And I'm not going to try and do that right now, but I guess what the essence of it is, it's just learning to observe myself. And I notice that I'm not above all this stuff. Like I'm right in it, right with everyone else. Like what I notice when I watch myself is how little of the day I'm actually able to hold presence. It is difficult. But it is more easy when I'm talking to somebody who is also holding a degree of presence, and then it's like it becomes easier. And the opposite is also true. When someone is really caught in everything and highly distracted, that draws me into it as well. So but this is I don't know. I what you said earlier about not wanting to be part of the escalation of, seems like craziness.
It does.
Seems like a worthwhile thing to be involved with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's like the more people that are drawn into it, and it has its necessary aspects. It's as things evolve, and they do it. Life charges on, things charge forward. And it's taking a moment, even now, like I'm sure your viewers are sitting down, listening, curious, wondering where we're heading with this, and it takes a diligence, but it's easy to do. We can all take a moment. We can all pause. We can take a breath, listen to the silence between the sounds. It's many grains of sand that add up to the experience of the beach. And it's no different to what we practice every day. The more we can acknowledge that, we're in it with everyone. We're down in the trenches with everyone experiencing it. And, there's always somewhere to move towards in a quote unquote better experience. But you're with yourself most of the time, and it's, the more you practice and the more you contribute to that beach of tranquility with every grain of sand, it gets a little bit easier. The reference for that antidote to chaos becomes something that a few grains of sand can wash away, but the more you contribute, there's more of a body of those little contributions that it really help.
Yeah,
they really
makes
help.
a difference. It adds up, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm finding just, even just, I don't really particularly want to talk about me overly much here, but the experience the thought that I was having earlier is, it's we've got a beach within ourselves as well.
We do.
And if we can just work a little bit on our own beach inside of, I'm like, all right, can I notice that I'm noticing? Can I do it for 3 seconds? Can I do it again for 3 seconds? Can I do it again for 3 seconds?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, then it's got, okay, cool. I did 3 seconds. All right.
Yeah.
And I've just taken on this new job that I was saying, being back in an educational kind of capacity a bit more. I realized that, I don't know, the idea was, I think it's really important when you're working towards something, work out what your endpoint is, but realize that that endpoint is going to take multiple steps, maybe many.
Yeah.
And
it's a journey, right?
And it's a journey. And just to break it into the smallest little bits, just to incrementally, work towards whatever that thing is, if it's a worthy goal. Anyways, I don't know. That for me is like real interesting at the moment, because I guess I'm realizing that what I'm trying to teach others is also applying to me, and it's I think that's one of the fun things about education, is that it does it always ends up coming back.
and it doesn't. You don't instantly end up with a beach.
No, instantly end up with pretty much exactly what you had before, I guess.
Yeah,
and just a little.
It is the contribution of all the things you learn and applying what you learn. So the difference between knowledge and wisdom is the application of the knowledge you learn. Doing and practicing the knowledge becomes that wisdom that you can draw on. It's proven. You're sitting with the diligence of going back into work, and you have an end goal, and that end goal actually starts with an intention. It's like when you understand a sankalpa or intention, everything we do has an intention. We're doing something for a reason. And when you really hone in on that intention, suddenly you can see the North Star, you can see the direction that you're heading and that you want to head, and then it's gathering up all the nuances of education and mindfulness in seeing traffic lights, and it all comes together. It really starts to gain momentum.
The traffic lights are a fun one, isn't it?
Oh, it's one of the gateways.
Yeah.
It's one of the gateways to meditation. It's can you, when you're sitting at a red light, can you just pause?
What's happening? Yeah,
for that
are you
moment.
getting fighty on the red light? And
edgy to get going.
Yeah. And it's like I'm like that constantly. Oh well, something to work on.
Yeah.
But the intention is, I don't know. I've kind of come and gone on this topic, and I've kind of found it hard. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, shut up about intention.
Yeah.
Like it's like stop this intention thing is annoying me a lot, and but I see the value in it. I do. Yeah. I see that it's annoying to listen to people talking about it. But it is important, because I don't know, it's actually something that Russell Brand said that I really like. It's like you're going to be running a program. It's just the choice is it your program or is it someone else's program?
Yeah.
And it's not the choice between having a program and not having a program. You're running a program.
Yeah.
And if you want to, do you want to choose your program, or do you not want to choose your program? Because if you don't set the conscious intention, then we're effectively running off the unconscious intention.
Yeah.
Which most likely you didn't decide, you didn't choose that.
It's default. And like, thank you to our parents for delivering that, because it gives us something to work on.
Gives you a starting point. gives you a dart. Gives you a dart. Like a dart on the board. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you throw a dart on the board, you go, all right, that's where that landed.
Yeah.
And I go, all right, and then it's go up and a little bit to the right.
Yeah. There's an irony amongst all these different tips and tricks, for a better feeling. It's, you get to a point, at some point, you can look back at what you've experienced and what you've highs and lows of what you've experienced, and you can look back and actually look at a trajectory of where you're heading, because you can see all the dots looking back through what you've done and why you've done it, and how you've got to where you are today. And it's getting to a point of acknowledging that you're a pretty cool human, and everyone is a pretty cool human. And being able to shift the perspective of victim, and moving more towards that choice. And I've got this thing that I kind of rattles off my tongue really quickly. It's like I treat every day like it's a Tuesday.
Like it's a Tuesday?
Yeah, every day is a Tuesday.
Okay.
There's
as in choose.
Well, this is the thing. It's like, what you mean? There's not 7 days to the week. There's the moment that you're living in, and there's the day that you're in. If we didn't know what day it was, and you called it a Tuesday, if you choose your day, every day is a Tuesday. Now, there's an aspect of understanding that there, as you mentioned with Russell, there's a program running, and you can be in that realm of starting to choose what station you actually want to choose into, tune into, choose to tune into. And, and that comes with experience, that comes with the highs and lows, that comes with the knockdowns, that comes with the elation of learning something new that feels good,
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
one of my, I love the expression, it's all part of it. One of my friends said that, Xavier. So he's like, yeah, it's all part of it. We're having a good laugh at that. And it's all part of it, the ups and the downs, because it's like all those things, they're all experiences that we experience, and they're things that we, they form part of the experience. They become something that we learn something from, and we can, choose how we interface with that experience moving forward.
Yeah.
It's all part of it. I don't know. Yeah, I like that because it's sort of, I don't know, it's cheeky, it's lighthearted. Sometimes this stuff can get very heavy, and it's like, oh man, like this is annoying. This is too much. I don't want to deal with this. Oh, heavy. And it's not fun. Like, I don't think that's not the point. The point is not to be real heavy about all this stuff. The point is to learn to be light with it, and learn to be loose with it, and learn to be fun with it, and learn to be free.
Learn to laugh at the cosmic joke.
Yeah.
This existence that we are, floating on a planet.
Yeah.
In the middle of the cosmos.
Yeah. Or literally in the middle of nowhere.
Why so serious?
Yeah. We do. We like to take ourselves very serious. We
do.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Yeah, it'd be nice. It's nice to just let that go for a little bit and realize that we are literally that. We're floating out right now. We're on a little bit of rock. Yeah. We're skimming across the vast open spaces. I don't know how fast the Earth's going, but it's going fast. Yeah. Spinning, and it's also moving.
Whatever it's doing.
We're doing something.
We're with it. We're doing what it's doing.
We're doing
part of it.
Yeah, it's all doing it. It doesn't even need us to really do anything. It's just doing it. Yeah. And then, anyways, I know it gets all these ideas. They're fun, and they're fun to talk about. They're hard to talk about sometimes because they kind of go against some of our, I don't know. Certainly, my upbringing was not equipped to describe these experiences. I sometimes don't think our language is.
No, I always say it's like trying to describe a kaleidoscope to a blind and deaf person in a dark room.
Yeah.
And the language needed to explain vastness of it's that we can let our mind be overwhelmed by the complexities of the human experience, and it's just that's the word though, I think, isn't it? It's like experience, it's I mean, you said try and describe a kaleidoscope for a blind person, which I think that's a high challenge probably. But if someone's experiencing something, then it's like, okay, there's that thing, that's the experience, and the experience is really the center point, there's a lot of information in the experience. And I got to say, it's really tricky for me not to engage in the verbal aspect of when you walk into the water, and it's the first time you've walked into the water, and you've only gone knee deep, it's as much as you've experienced. But there's others that have gone into chest height, and I look back at those that are in knee deep, and it's a different perspective. I'm continually, and part of this, talking about the antidote to the chaos, is that I've recognized that I need to speak less, and I need to listen more. Being around elders and being around people that have been about, and kind of know what we do, and how our reactivity is and how our programming works. It's just so refreshing to sit with people in presence, and in quietness and stillness. And we seek out experiences for that. We seek out, camping. We seek out events. We seek out solitude. We seek out good books. And it's all in reference to that, to listen more and say less. Being able to listen to the sounds and the silence between the sounds. Yeah, it's huge. And Yeah.
Listen more. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like what's driving our actions. And a lot of the time, the things that are driving our actions is it's like, oh, we're not happy with this, so we're not happy with that. So it's like, all right, I'm going to go out and change it. And most of our action is that, I think, I'm looking at I can only see it through my own direct experience, but that's what I see.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think as I'm becoming more aware of that, some of that falls away, and there's nothing like I guess one of the other things that I'm kind of realizing is like I don't want to even criticize the chaos because the chaos it's not for me to criticize. Like
Yeah.
I don't personally enjoy it that much. Like when I like really look inside and I go how this is affecting me, I don't particularly like it doesn't seem like my most enjoyable experience of being a human
To focus
or
in on
being
that.
just what it does to me, I guess. Like what I find it does to me is that kind of I get caught into it, and when I get caught into it, I don't know, I don't feel as good. I get and then when I start to separate from it a bit more, I feel better generally.
Yeah.
But I one of the big things that I've kind of had to try and change my thinking on around is it's like, oh, this thing is like I don't like it, so it's wrong. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like
the judgment part of
yeah,
the
it's like
experience.
okay, I don't like this chaos thing, so it's therefore it's wrong.
Wrong. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as Michael Singer talks about, it's like that's yeah. How do you know it's wrong? Like just because it doesn't, it's hitting something inside you,
Yeah.
and it's not feeling good to you. That's silly as. That's the most and I mean, he explains it probably much better than I am, and I guess people, if they're interested, can go and listen to him.
Yeah. The Untethered Soul was a big one for me.
His book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different teachings we can pick up, and I had a mentor in my early days of exploring energy, and I had my mother was really profoundly into Reiki, and thought she was crazy for years. Like mum would hold a hand on my back, or she'd go up to plants, and like really kind of make me go, whoa, what's mum doing? What is this? And then just a little bit of a backstory and leading into my experience of where I am and how I've headed towards where I am. And mum one day headed off into the front foyer, and she goes, we have this grandfather clock that my grandfather had built, and this beautiful piece of furniture or clock. It's just amazing. But it stopped working the day my grandfather died. Just stopped. Anyway, it sat in our front porch, our front foyer for years and years, and she's decided that she's going to get it going. And watch mum go up, put her hands either side of this clock, and we're all like, okay, mum's lost it now. She's off. Like it was really a challenging moment to see mum standing at this clock, holding her hands either side of this grandfather clock. Anyway, a couple of hours later, the clock started.
Oh wow!
Pivotal part of my curiosity just instantly ignited. It's like, how did you do that? What happened there? Anyway, it eluded me for quite some time, but I ended up going and studying Reiki. I ended up going and engaging in these energy fields and meditation. There's just real curiosity to understand what's beyond the chaos. What else is there out there that gives a refuge for experiencing this human experience? Anyway, I ended up connecting with this really powerful person that taught this practice of Reiki. And it's always in the back of my mind the way that she said this, and it leads on to what you were saying. It just is, and these are her words. It just is. There's no judgment for right or wrong. There's no this side or that side. It just is. And that simple phrase, it just is. It's been one of the most powerful things that's always in the back of my mind. Just allowing things to be as they are. And I see that like a grain of sand. I see that it just is. There's a grain of sand on my beach. It gives me something. I can pick up that grain of sand and study it. Or just know it's there in that beach of that tranquility. So, yeah, all these different teachings and all these different exposures and experiences. It's so nothing's as well parallel to that than being around those that get it, that are in that moment of just is, watching a sunset or experiencing something very nature-like right in front of our eyes. Watching a butterfly peel out of a cocoon. It's the other side of the scale of what we've been talking about. It's the
being justice is the it's so easy to get really caught in all the I don't know. There's a big period of I don't mean to just keep talking about me, but I feel like I don't know. I just want to give people a bit of an insight into kind of what I've noticed. And I've noticed that there was a good period of my life where I was very rarely in that place, constantly in the intellect, constantly thinking about things. I want this goal setting. All right. And just constantly judgment. This, okay, how do I have to have that? And when I was in that space, everything loses its magic.
It does.
The cocoon coming out of or the butterfly or whatever coming out of the cocoon, or whatever. So that the way that kids will watch the water washing on and if you look at it, it's actually really cool. Watching how the water.
Yeah.
But when I was in that kind of mind space, I just would never. You can't see it. It's just not interesting. It doesn't register. It's not a thing. And
it's lost.
It's just lost. You don't see it. And I guess, we only see what we see. But being in that more analytical, the analytical, I love the ability to be analytical and to look at things, and to have that capacity is wonderful.
Part of our humanness.
Yeah. But if we can't turn it off as well, if we can't realize what it's doing to us and put some rules around it,
it becomes
it just takes over. It's like a out of control nation that just will smash down every other nation around it and just take over the whole thing, and it's not. And then that doesn't. I don't think that's going anywhere good.
No.
Very simple thing. Funny how attitudes and ideas change, because when you were talking about meditation before, I remember as a kid I always thought, meditation, I remember saying to my parents and thinking it was very clever and very funny. I was like, because I don't know, I found out that people that meditate live longer, and my kind of joke as a kid was, I think that's because God must feel sorry for those people that meditate, therefore they gives them that time back on the end of their life. And that was kind of my joke at the time.
That's cool.
And I just was like, why would anyone, this just seems like a complete waste of time. Why would you do that? And to the analytical mind, it is a complete waste of time. It's like, why would you do this? This is not leading towards the attainment of anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't see it that way anymore. I don't see it that way anymore. I see how it changes. It gives me a it's a practice. It gives me a practice of what it's like not to, or it gives me experience. It's a doorway to an experience of what it's like to not be constantly being led around,
Mm.
and that's valuable. Yeah,
Yeah, you've been able to unshackle.
yeah. Step off that conveyor belt.
And what's Michael Singer say? And don't know that I'm quoting directly this, but he goes, "Are you okay in there?" There's some
Yeah,
aspect.
are you okay in
Are
there?
you okay in there?
No, of course you're not.
And that's the good part about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what drives us as humans to experience something different. And it's so good to be able to have a perspective at one point, then be shown in an open mind experience that there is difference. There is another way of looking at things. There's another part to what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's funny to contain. It's very funny to contain, you know. And back to that saying less part, for me, it's like when you really diligently understand how something works so well, it's really hard to not be enthusiastically imposing what you know on someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely. In a way that's repulsive when someone does it to you.
yeah,
Yeah,
like even that lately, and particularly, you know, in my real world experience, I have people come to me and go, "Oh, you're so calm and bliss," and it's like, well, you might be seeing
yeah.
what's happening here, but my
Inside is a
life,
different story. There's a storm going on.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, and it and and as that wisdom is practiced, it the void can get bigger. You know, the unknown become more unknown, and as part of as part of, I guess, what's perceived in how someone is, and you know, like you feel it. You know, as I said earlier, energy introduces you well before your words do. Someone that is present and someone that's actively engaging the present moment, they put off the pulse of energy. And they really put off an energy that's very magnetic, and it's very calming to the nervous system. You know, it's like a grandma's hug. You
Mm.
know, or yeah, there's something about it that has always intrigued me. That, you know, what is the essence of these people that have done a lot of work, that have engaged themselves in to the opposite side of what is not working, which is quite evident is not working in today's world. You know? Yeah, and we want to. I feel drawn to learn more about that. I feel drawn. You
Can I ask you? So one of the things that, because I met you when you first. I'm going to just turn this around a little bit. We're going to go in a whole different, well, I don't know. Let's say. Uh, I wanted to ask you about the accident that you had, because yeah, I know that was a big turning point in your life, and it was obviously a massive, uh, yeah, it was a, I don't know how I'd describe it, but it was obviously a massive turning point. It was a serious accident that happened, um, that had a lot of consequences, positive and negative, if you want to label them that way. But had a lot of consequences. It was a big turning point for you. Um, do you, would you like to tell the story of what happened?
yeah, well,
Or
I can touch on it,
touch on it?
and these days, it was a very pivotal part of what I am today. Uh, And I got to say, I've got an immense amount of gratitude now being able to look back at what happened 5 years ago and what I've been doing these past 5 years post accident to maintain how this vessel is in the world through what happened. And it was right at that moment of the accident, there was a lot of chaos in my world. And yeah, the accident gave me an opportunity to be basically flashed over to the other side of the afterworld. Uh, I had a near-death experience. I had a massive clarity in the fragility of life. And if it wasn't for my practices and the grains of sand that I had contributed to my life through my curiosity from the back end of, losing my mother and a lot of really hectic times leading up to the accident, I had doubled down on meditation. I doubled down on my physical practice through yoga. I'd reduced the amount of things I had in my world.
Pre-accident, you mean?
Yeah, pre-accident.
Yeah, pre-accident.
Yeah, I was teaching yoga in Byron Bay. I had a really good trajectory for shifting out of trades-based world. I'd seen that something wasn't in alignment with me, and I could see I'd lost, several mates to suicide, and I had made a massive decision to be different, to change that program and to change the way that I was experiencing the world. And I had come over to WA to advance that, to advance my experience of all these different practices: meditation, yoga, shamanic. The curiosity that I had for elements outside of what society presents to us, it really drew me over here. And little did I know through that curiosity that it was delivering me to the most intense experience of my life. And to give context to what we're talking about, I got over to WA and my personal experience took a left turn, and I was left over here with no family, ambitions, and everything that I come over here to do. It spun on a dime through a. I lost one of my close inner circle to suicide on the way over to WA, and it kind of unhinged me. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting to hit that news, and it kind of put me into a little bit of a downward spiral, and it shook up my world. And at that point, things kind of went different ways. The relationship I was in at that stage, it was just not bounded in amongst me trying to find myself in amongst losing a close mate. And yeah, so I needed to get back over east, and my goal was just like, well, I'm not established yet in the music world, the yogic world, the shamanic, everywhere where I was heading, I wasn't completely established. So I thought, I've got to go get a job. So through mates of mates in the yoga community, I ended up getting a job. And this job was really good. It was a really simple job where I just did what I had to do with skills from the farm and driving machinery and just good, solid physical man labor, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. And I ended up getting crushed by a large piece of machinery. And yeah, at that very moment that happened, flashed over to the afterworld quite profoundly. It's I can never forget it, and I will never forget it. I'll never forget the feeling of the afterworld. this infinite foreverness that's for us all to experience. It's an immense amount of love and continuum that really changed my perspective on what this physical experience is all about. And with that flash over and then suddenly back into my physical form, I was drawn on absolutely everything that I had in my toolkit. You know, I had been in emergency services. I spent a few years in emergency services, cutting people out of cars and land searches and vertical rescue. And I had this background of understanding how the physical form reacts to accident. And that was in the back of my mind. And the other thing I had in the back of my mind was this ability to self-regulate my breath and self-regulate my reactivity in my body to not get anxious.
This is why you're unconscious, or partly conscious?
No, I didn't go unconscious.
You didn't go unconscious?
No, I flashed out for a moment, you know, like with the intensity.
So you're always conscious the whole time?
I wasn't conscious the whole time.
You're conscious of being somewhere different?
Yeah, it was a fleeting flick over into the other world. And bizarrely all caught on camera. And then when I fell out of this machine, I fell out of where this incident happened. I'm laying on the ground with no breath in my body whatsoever. And I was in this transition space. It was like, wow, that's what death is. You know, that's the afterworld. Like, that's a pretty cool place. And I found myself sitting in my body going, well, I'm here. I wasn't breathing. You know, I was just sitting in this neutral, the zero zone. And then all this stuff rushed back to me. It's like, I'm back here. I'm in this body. Let's go at it. You know, I don't want to, I know that's forever. I know that experience is forever, but I want back in. I want back in. You know, I really now cherish this human experience, and I want to feel it at its fullest. And that meant engaging very deep, calm breath, taking each moment as it come, trying to regulate my body so I didn't go into shock, because I knew that I was in a pretty bad place. I knew that I physically was in a bad place. Spiritually, I was in an amazing place. Mentally, I was drawing off that spiritual strength. Mentally, I was also drawing off the physical experience of, of emergency services and hanging around a lot of pretty chaotic experiences. So fast forward through it, you know, I was fighting for my life. I had shattered pelvis, 2 broken legs, you know, I had torn liver, category 4, torn liver, internal bleeding, pulmonary embolism, right on the edge.
Yeah.
And I knew it, and everyone around me knew it. You know, it was a.
So you never lost consciousness all the way through?
No,
so some of it kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty full on. And the ambulance trip to, you know, it was different. You know, the guys, I basically did the run through of an incident with the ambos when they turned up, and I told them what was going on. You know, like and all the people around were a bit spun out that I took control of the scene. I did what I do and what I'd learned in the emergency services. I took control of the scene because I knew how fragile my physical experience was, and I wanted to really kind of make sure that people had my back. You know, they knew that I'm here and I'm fighting for this. So yeah, it was. I'm proud of all that I had learned, you know, that would enable me to get a second chance at life. And so that experience encapsulated it. I look at things a lot differently these days, and you know, I draw upon a lot of those things, and I really honor all these practices. It's the, you know, the spiritual teachings and all these things that I'd learned. I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't engaged at the depth I engaged in these practices. And I'm so grateful for it. I feel like I'm contained a lot of the time, and I want to spread it to the world. I want to say, come on, you got one chance at this. You got one chance at this human experience. Like, come on, raise the bar. Let's really make of it. Like, and it's not through doing more. It's through being more.
Experiencing more.
It's being more.
Being more.
It's smelling the roses stuff. It's what you witness in kids. More of that, and it has its push and pull. This world has its push and pull, and I find it very, it's been very jarring. There's not many people that I've been around that have experienced near-death experiences.
You haven't come across others?
Yeah, I have, but it's really bizarre.
What's that?
It's just an acknowledgement. Because and when you sit with someone that's had a near-death experience, that two people that have near-death experience, there's not many words that need exchanging.
Huh.
Like,
just a little nod.
It's just, I get you. I get this. There's a deep knowing and a deep feeling that you know what you know, and so it is an anomaly in this world, and I'm very grateful for the experience. I look back on it now, and I'm quite proud of how I handled it. And I'm quite proud of the man I am today because of it, and I just anyone curious that really starts to ask questions, I pull back. A lot of my practice these days is I'm trying to say I'm really containing that energy of that infinite experience. So, I guess on the back of that too, straight away, I want to say thank you. And I'm gonna name. Can I name a person we know in common?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Tash Kelly. Like I knew her before the accident, and I knew you before the accident. And I think there's a few others that from Tash, and her network and how she is in the world. When I come out, Tash was at my bedside. She did a lot for me. She might not realize it, but turning up, hand on the foot, just turning up with an apple, turning up with seaweed, really bizarre experience,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like really simple acts of integrity showed me how important it is to really acknowledge the simplicity of the connection. And, fast forward 3 months, she found me a place to stay. She rallied around, got you, and we moved beds, and I really that time and that gesture, because I didn't really deeply know you. I knew you as an associate, of Tash, and like the community and how the community rallied around me just blew my mind.
Yeah,
it's like, whoa.
Something quite special about. I think moving to Freo and having becoming part of this community here. I've not experienced this elsewhere in Perth. It's different.
It's very unique.
Yeah,
very unique.
Very unique. Yeah, it's good to hear that, because sometimes it can be complacent about that, but it is a wonderful community.
Yeah. And the support that I received, and I'll say again, I got a jar of salt given to me. One of the best gifts.
Huh.
And even reversing back, I'd actually like to share a little story within the hospital And it's one of the practices that I have pretty much every day. Deep in the, I was between surgeries, and I dropped into this mental meditation. There was so much chaos happening in the hospital, and I was in a ward with two. It was me and another guy, and this other guy was quite vocal. He was in a lot of pain, a lot of distress, and quite demanding, and a little bit edgy on abusive towards the nurses. And I'm like, I was just wholly focused on my next breath, and I had one of the nurses come up to me and she goes, "Where's your head?" And I just like, "What do you mean?" She goes, like, "You're pretty calm and thank you." She said, "Where's your head? What's happening inside your head?" I said, "Oh, good question. I'm actually sitting on South Beach. I'm sitting with my didgeridoo in front of me. I've got a chai beside me, and I'm watching the sun set down over the water."
Oh, wow.
And that was my sanctuary. That was my little world that I had encapsulated to go to. With all of what was going on, I had an immense amount of pain. It was a full on experience, and she goes, "Wow, okay, thank you." She goes, "Thank you so much for being. Just keep doing what you're doing. Please keep doing what you're doing." And then a day later, or whatever time passed, she turned up, walked in with a chai.
Oh, who? The hospital,
The
the
nurse
nurse.
sat it down beside me. She goes, "Look, I'm not sure whether you can have this, but no, I see what you're doing.
Oh, wow.
The best medicine I've ever received."
Kindness, eh? Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
Huge. And like, it was a fork in the road for me. The moment that she gestured that, I could feel myself wanting to head down the victim path. I could see myself being lured towards this guy's to the world that was in the other bed next to me. But I could also sense that this is an opportunity for me to rise above what I don't want to see in the world. Very pivotal fork in the road.
Oh.
And that chai give me the hope of becoming my own reference and being my own hero, and acknowledging that I've got this. It's going to be okay. People can see that I'm working hard. People can see that I've got drive to be here. And every time I go out, and it's every day, I pretty much go out every day. I go out to a cafe, and I get a chai. And every time I sit down with that chai, I'm in that moment, and I acknowledge that moment, and I drink to that.
You go back to the hospital or back to the beach? Or the hospital?
To the hospital, to that moment,
and the beach.
to the aspect of being on the beach at the same time. It's been in full chaos and full bliss. Been in both realms at the same time. It just gives me such a reminder and reference to the power of humanity, and that my simplest of gesture, it's like walking down the street. I come out with that energy going, "Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the gold hearts in people." And giving a smile to someone and acknowledging someone in passing, it's like pulling $100 note out of your back pocket and handing it to them. It gives them an upward spiral. I know what it does for me. When someone acknowledges and gestures, hey fella, g'day, good morning. Hey, what's going on in your world? It's taking these moments, and it's taking that. It's literally, the chai is the antidote, and the. Hey.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a story, Chad. That's a story. And I just want to go back to Tash and yeah, part angel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, good woman. Very, very good woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know it. I know it.
I mean, yeah, there's something divine here. I think we can both feel that right now.
Yeah.
That is, it's the touch of divinity.
Yeah. Yeah. A very deep humanness.
And
a reality, a reality in nurturing sense. You know, like, yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed to have these references in our world, and Tasha's been a huge reference. You know, yeah, good soul,
good soul,
good solid soul. You know, and yeah, you just don't know how you're going to affect someone.
No.
You know, and it's a duty, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility to embody these things. You know, to acknowledge those that raise our vibration, that help us to be closer to ourselves and closer to our uniqueness of this human experience. You know, and she's good at it.
Yeah,
and you too, and acknowledging that too. You know, there's like people tend to gravitate. You know, and yeah. Sadly, you know, she's not in amongst our physical community, but gosh, she's a powerful reference.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought her up and reminded me. Yeah, she's a very special person. Yeah, I think she's touched a lot of lives, and logic is most definitely not at the center of her reality.
No, no, and thank you.
And it's a different kind of logic. It's a logic from a different place.
Yeah,
and she touches lives.
Yeah,
she's an example of a person that touches lives. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So ever so grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. This this experience that you've described, I know a lot of people that are very afraid of death. And I understand that, you know, there's a sort of sense of the worst horrors in what that might be like not to exist anymore. It's a fascinating death I've been fascinated with for, a long time. I think it is a fascinating part of life, I guess. And something, I would, I kind of, I think there's a part of me that would longs to have more discussions around that, because it is such a clearly a fascinating part. And I know it's not a part that our culture particularly likes to really have much to do with.
Swept away.
That's not, So I'm glad that, you could share your experience of what that was like to go in a conscious way to that point where it sounds like there was a few forks in the road where there was a choice to, or the experience of some bliss, and then the choice to come back. And it's from an outsider's point of view, it's been interesting. Well, very yeah, it's quite clear to me that something, very deep happened to you through that experience, having had some interaction with you before, not a lot, but we'd hung out on a couple of occasions and played some music together. But yeah, just to watch how that sort of unfolded for you and the life that you've now built up around yourself. I was very honoured to be, to photograph your wedding to your wife that you met after the accident. You're now married, and you now have a daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Whole different thing.
It is. It delivered me.
Mm.
It delivered me, and I just suddenly realised that the world has a lot more to offer than everything we talked about previously. There's a deepness. There's a pulse. There's a pulse in humanity that is beautifully there. It's right there for us to. It's right there for us to hold. And again, I'm grateful for how my world has come about. And I've chosen to make lemonade out of the lemons that were delivered. And I probably needed it. I needed that reality check. And I can say that with confidence in hindsight. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone to go through what I went through. But would I change anything? Would I live this life over again? Yeah. I'd go through everything I've gone through because I realised it's my life to live. My world is my world, and the fear. My parents had a funeral director's business. I grew up around death.
Oh wow, okay.
I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm where, so death to me and the experience of death was kind of secondary, if that makes sense. And a very on a level of acceptance, kind of I've been around a lot of death. I've been around a lot of death. And I've been around a lot of celebration of that death as well, in a very different perspective. Honoring people, and so that fear that runs through people completely disappears with the birth of a child. There's so much more to honor, because in full acceptance, every living moment is a death to the life that's been born. Every constant change is a death of something moving into a constant change of growth. It is an endless cycle that will not stop for anything. And our acceptance of that perpetual movement of time, the death and rebirth of everything. In honoring that, you start to understand that it is the gesture of life that we're here to live. We're here to experience life. We're here to experience the upward vibration of that, the celebration of life, the fun stuff. The butterfly cracking out of the cocoon. There's so much richness in the human experience through connection, through all of what we are to sustain this life force of survival. With love, we thrive. We really, truly thrive. We come out. Fear is survival. Love is thrival, if that's a word to say. Yeah. So it's not something to fear. And I know it can be quite jarring to hear those words, but I really am, the excitement that happened from that, to know that I had a second chance, it really put wind under my wings, and then started to see life with a glow, like an absolute glow, sunsets and gentle breezes and, nuances of things. The simple things just started to become so exciting.
Do you think that's what happens when you let something die? It's like you let the past die, and then you're able to see. It's like it's probably glowing all the time, but you don't perceive, maybe you didn't perceive it that way before, and it's like when you have that death, it's like a big clean out, a massive clean out.
Why? We hold on to so much that's of our past. We're bound. We're bound
not
by
letting things die.
Yeah, and
I don't want it to die.
And it's the back to Michael Singer. It's the surrender experience. It's the ability to let go and trust the featherbed. There's a feeling of leaning, being on the edge of something fearful. And it might feel like a cliff to people. There's a trust that has to happen, of leaning forward and trusting. You lean forward on the edge of that cliff, and then suddenly you have this experience where you're held, your wings are open and you're flying. And it's really hard. I talk in a lot of metaphors, as I said before. It's like trying to describe a kaleidoscope to a blind man. And it's in my reference. It's my world.
Yeah.
And
it's an experience that you can't describe. So and that's the hard thing when you're trying to learn these things, is it's kind of, you hear someone else's experience and then try and reach for that, and that's not it. It's like you just got to go and get it for yourself. You got to have it for yourself. It won't make sense until that point.
It won't make sense right till that moment. And I've helped several people in pretty dire situations, cancers, and just like I've been around that, and I have been for years. Been around people passing, and there's a real peace. There's a real peace that comes for people, and you'll never know it until you're right there. And that's the fear that bubbles inside of us, is the unknown. It's the way how our mind portray, it's the way our mind has, through the filters of experience of everything that we are, that's the reactivity.
I'm tempted to probably start moving towards wrapping up. I feel like we've captured. I think we've been on a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
Feel like we've been on a journey.
Yeah, you good?
I'm good. As I listen to that, I mean, it's really quite an honor to just sit here and be the recipient of this experience firsthand that you've had. I'm actually super comfortable going into that space of really like listening deeply. I really enjoy that experience, and feel like that's where I've kind of just been for the last however long. And that's great. I'm more than happy with that. Like sometimes to me the less words the better.
And
I know sometimes we need the words, but I'm happy to just receive and hear and experience the experience through you, through your words. And I'm curious to see how that translates to what we've captured here on camera.
I kind of forgot.
I mean, that's good that we've just like the cameras kind of fall into the background there, and I think we've been I feel like I've been on a little bit of a journey here with
it's like,
going through all this.
Hope everyone's okay.
Hope you're all okay. Hello. Yeah, but no, I think we could probably move towards wrapping up.
Well, thank you for the platform of the trust in putting me in the hot seat, and yeah, I value who you are, and I see what you're doing in the world, and that's good. It's nice to have that reference around. It's a an essence of Tash, in that overall intention. So thank you so much for trusting and bringing me on and
Yeah,
doing what you do.
pleasure. Running an experiment.
Yeah, it's
The
nothing
experiment of life.
Lean
Is that
in,
what we call it?
lean into life, lean in.
Lean in, see what happens.
You're doing it.
Mm. Yeah, thank you, Chad. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right, we'll wrap her up. Let's breathe out.
Cool.
Cool.